And there's always something going on in the royal household, and this week has been no different. And every Saturday I love to give you a rundown, and who better to do so than Lady Colin Campbell. Welcome, Lady Colin Campbell. Thank you so much for joining us. Lady Colin Campbell, thank you. Good to see you on a Saturday. Right, well, look, Harry has come out and said that he may well, if needed, help out with the royal family. What a guan, Lady Colin Campbell. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, that's rather like the Nazis thing that they'd like to liberate the Poles from occupation by them. The whole thing is an absolute joke if it wasn't such an outrage. I mean, Harry's offering, it's also hypocritical and it's also phony. I mean, he knows, first of all, that the royal family wouldn't want him. He also knows from his own personal experience in the past that royal diaries are planned 6 months in advance, and therefore he's going to come over. What's he going to come over and do? And who is he going to meet and greet? Who is going to want to speak to him? First of all, he'd have the problem of having to work his way around the family and the family's advisors, all of whom deplore him at this stage. Then he'd have to meet the public who deplore him. I mean, this is all phony baloney to make him look good so that on page 6 in New York, they'll be able to say something nice about him. It's utter rubbish and it's really offensive.
It does seem a bit ridiculous. I was going to pull you up on the comparison, the comparison that you made, but then I remembered he did actually dress up as a Nazi for a party, so I just thought, what? But I want to ask you, though, he is suggesting that this is the beginning of reconciliation, potentially, though, with the royal family. Do you believe him?
I mean, it's so laughable that, I'm not even sure one should condescend to comment. The whole thing's a joke. Of course it's not true. It's utter rubbish. I mean, it plays well. Harry and Meghan are in desperate straits at the moment. They are looking at a very empty diary for the future. Netflix, I have been saying this for some time now, their deal with Netflix is in danger, and it's either going to be revised tremendously downwards for them, or then it's going to be terminated altogether. Meghan is now going to Lemonade. I mean, give me a break, instead of Spotify. So you go from the biggest to something irrelevant to make more money. You don't make more money. I mean, their finances are in disaster and their reputations are in disaster. And all of this is an attempt to sort of rebrand themselves as the resident royals in California. Except, of course, the Americans fought a war of independence to avoid having a royal family. But they're setting themselves up as the resident royal family in the United States of America. The whole thing's an absolute joke. It's farcical. It's for them to try to make some money and hope that since they've exhausted all of the big boys financially and commercially, they're now trying to go for the little people who are going to provide them with money. But it's not going to work. Harry and Meghan's lifestyle requires a capital sum of $500 million. He's not even worth 10 times that. Their income is negligible. And friends of mine have been saying for some time now that they refuse to take their calls because every time they phone, she phones. She wants something, usually to catch a lift on someone's plane. And people just don't want to know. I mean, you look at what's going on. It's before our eyes. They've gone from up here to down there, and they're continuing on a downward slide. And they have tried to rebrand themselves in terms of being a royal couple. Well, Everybody knows that they're not attached to the royal family. Everybody knows that the royal family wants to have nothing to do with them. You know, the whole thing is a con, and it's a really offensive con, because we're supposed to believe that black is white and pink is green, when we know that black is black and pink is pink.
You see, it does feel a bit hypocritical. I'll give you that, because, they've talked about the fact that they're going to. He has said how illness can bring a family together. But briefly, your thoughts on that, because Meghan's not gone to see her dad yet. So I just feel that feels a bit disingenuous.
Well, I mean, again, a study in hypocrisy, and a study, quite frankly, in lack of intelligence, because he's speaking about how illness unifies family. Well, he spent 12 minutes with his father, let me rephrase that. His father allowed him to spend 12 minutes with him. He came over here rarely to sort of present himself and reconnect royally. But there's no unity with him and his family. Meghan hasn't seen her father. Her father, remember, had 2 heart attacks and a serious stroke, and is still not 100% recovered. Her father lives 3 hours away from them by road.
Yeah.
And they have not managed to go to see the father once, to phone the father. I mean, I speak to her father and her family quite often, and we're supposed to believe that illness is a unifying thing. I mean, give me a break.